Thank you that you give us children the chance to share our thoughts with you. It's not common, but children think it should be common. I was in 4th grade, 9 years old, and in our class we had the unit about the climate crisis. And during this unit I learned a lot about Wangari Maathai, the Peace Nobel Prize laureate from Kenya, and she planted 30 million trees in 30 years with many, many other women there. And in this unit, I developed that idea that we could plant 1 million trees in each country of the world. We have already done more than 150 Plant for the Planet academies in over 20 countries. At the academies, there's always a child giving a presentation about climate justice. Climate justice means that every citizen in the world is allowed to pollute the air with a certain amount of CO2. In average, each European exhausts 5 times this amount. An African, on the other hand, uses about a quarter of the allowed amount. At the academies, we children show other children that even a single tree can bind 10 kilos of CO2 per year, and how they can plant themselves to send a signal against the climate crisis. They also learn how to give presentations in front of other children to spread the idea of Plant for the Planet. Everybody that is going to start 1 million trees in their country, come up on the stage.
Felix, think minor.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for giving us children the chance to speak here, and thank you for making this year the International Year of Forest. We children are the majority on this world. We can make a difference. And never forget, one mosquito cannot do anything against the rhino, but 1,000 mosquitoes can make a rhino change its direction. By receiving the Billion Tree campaign, we children are receiving the global official tree counter, which means that all the governments, all the companies, all the people that plant trees report to us children how much they have done. So we would love to collect our first global future fee from our favorite business sector, the chocolate industry. Is there any company here that is willing to do that? Not one single company. This is shocking. Wer macht mit? 1 Euro pro Tonne Schokolade, 1 Promille vom Umsatz. ไม่มีอะไรอยากพูด
Ladies and gentlemen, please say hello to Felix Finkbeiner.
We children see one main dilemma. In a few years, when we are empowered, we won't be able to pull the adults to account for the problems they didn't solve, because they will be dead already. If this wasn't that way, most people would probably act much differently. And we children, we see two main crises. The poverty crisis, with 30,000 people dying of starvation every single day, and 1/2 of the world's population living with less than $2 a day. And the climate crisis. Every day we take as much carbon out of the ground as it took 1 million days for the sun to store it there. And this is why we children are fighting for climate justice. Everyone knows these crises. This is why we children don't understand why there's so little action. We found two possible reasons for this. The first one is the perception of future. For most adults, future seems to be in 20, 30, or even 40 years. But for many of us children, 2,100 is still in our lifetime. So for the adults, it's an academic question. If the sea level will rise by 1, 2, or 3 centimeters, or 7 meters until 2100. But for many of us children, it's a question of survival. And the second possible reason why there might be so little action is the example of the monkeys. If you let a monkey choose if he wants 1 banana now or 6 bananas later, then a monkey will always choose the 1 banana now. And it seems that many adults think like these monkeys. But we want you to understand how we children think. For most adults, 9/11 is the darkest day. At that terrible terrorist act, 3,000 people died. And today we're still fighting wars about it. But every single day, 30,000 people die of starvation. Who is fighting for them? For us children, 12/11 is the darkest day. 2 months ago. Since 17 years, the adults are discussing about our future at international climate conferences, longer than we are old. And at the last such climate conference in Durban in South Africa, there was a very simple goal: to get a follow-up protocol for the Kyoto Protocol, which ends this year. But instead of making a contract, which starts next year, the governments decided that there should only be a contract in 2020. This means that in 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, all countries can exhaust unlimited amounts of CO2. And this means that the promise the adults have given us since nearly 2 decades, the 2 degrees promise, is unable to reach. So the adults broke their promise to us children. But this 2 degrees goal is incredibly important. If the temperature rises by about 2.3 degrees, then the sea level will rise by 7 meters because the Greenland ice will melt. If you look out of the window tonight, you'll see that the Louis Vuitton store will be underwater if that happens. But that is the smallest problem, because 40% of the world's population lives near the coast. 2 years ago, at the climate conference in Cancun, in Mexico, the island states stood up, and they said, we can't support the 2 degrees goal. If that happens, our islands will already be underwater. So the countries decided on 2 degrees / 1.5 degrees. But that is not going to happen. We talked to the Prime Minister of Kiribati, and he told us that they are already making contracts with other countries around, like New Zealand and Australia, that every year 600 families are allowed to move into other countries because he already knows that his country is going to be underwater soon. At our academies, we children learn a very simple rule, a memory hook. If we don't want the temperature to rise by more than 2 degrees, then we're not allowed to exhaust more than 2 tons of CO2 per year per person. And if we don't want the temperature to rise by more than 1.5 degrees, then we're not allowed to exhaust more than 1.5 tons per person per year. But you know how much we're exhausting right now? In average, 5 tons. And this was rising by about 10% each year. So until 2020, we will have set the stage for 5 degrees plus. And no one knows what 5 degrees plus means. But once, when it was 5 degrees colder, that meant 2 kilometers of ice over us right here. At the climate conference in South Africa, 6 of us youth from Canada stood up during a talk by the Canadian Environment Minister, and they turned around, and on the back of their shirt it said, "Turn your back to Canada." After this, they were thrown out of the hall and out of the conference. And a few days later, the Canadian Environment Minister returned home, and what he said at the press conference was that Canada will cancel the Kyoto Protocol. Because according to the Kyoto Protocol, they should have reduced their emissions by 6% compared to 1990. But their emissions increased by 35%. And because of this, they should have paid $14 billion. But to save that money, they decided to cancel the Kyoto Protocol. But what is 14 billion compared to our future? We children don't know what to do. We can't just watch the adults doing nothing for our future. In the past, at many consultations, we children made a 3-point plan how we would save our future if we were the heads of governments of the world. The first point is carbon into the museum. We have to go down to 0 emissions until 2050. And the great thing about this point is that all the technology which we need for 0 emissions already exists today. The second point is poverty into the museum. Mohammed Yunus will tell us much more about this later tomorrow, I think. We have to bring poverty into the museum. This point is a little more complicated. If we don't want to exceed the 2 degrees limit, the scientists tell us we're only allowed to exhaust a limited amount of CO2. And this is 600 billion tons. This amount divided through the world's population and through the years until 2050 is 1.5 tons per person per year. And if someone wants to exhaust more, then they pay to the ones that exhaust less. And this is how we can bring poverty into the museum. And the third point is planting trees. Our goal is to plant 1,000 billion trees, 1 trillion trees. That sounds like a huge amount, and it is a huge amount. But we can still do it. If we plant these trees, then they will take up 10 billion tons of CO2 per year. So about 1 ton per person. This doesn't mean that we're allowed to exhaust more, but it's a time joker because we won't be able to go down to 1.5 tons in just a few days. But we can still make it because in the last 5 years, we've already planted 12 billion tons, so we've already managed 1.2% of the goal. But we need your help. And we don't want you to make departments in your company for sustainability, but make sustainability the goal of your company. Give top priority to sustainability and involve sustainability in all your actions. And become YPOS and WPOS, so World Presidents of Sustainability and Young Presidents of Sustainability. So please help us. About 1 year ago, I was in New York, and I gave a presentation there at the school. And at the end of the presentation, a 10-year-old boy, he was called Theo, stood up and said, "Felix, we can do this. The Egyptians are doing it as well." And that was only the 7th day of the revolution. But I think he's very right. Maybe we have to do it like the Egyptians. And we are very interested in what Walid is going to tell us later today or tomorrow. I think today. Now I want to show you some pictures. And we always have to do it like the foresters, because the foresters are planting trees all their lives, although they know that they themselves will never earn anything from these trees they plant, but only the generations after them. And they live off the trees the generations before them have planted. When we started the project Plant for the Planet a few years ago, we thought we had to save the polar bear. But soon after, we understood it's not about saving the polar bear. It's about our future. This is in Bangladesh. This is in Africa. This child is not looking at his face in the water. It's drinking. So we made the sticker, "Save the Human." When we started the project, we were inspired by Wangari Maathai, because she planted 30 million trees in 30 years in Africa, and then we children thought we can do the same. And our first goal was to plant 1 million trees in each country of the world. Today, more and more children participated in the project all over the world, and children in over 190 countries are participating in planting trees. Our goal is to plant 1 trillion trees, and we will, all over the world, with the help of adults, with the help of governments, with the help of all people, we managed to plant 12.5 billion trees. Our second goal is to become 1 million ambassadors for climate justice. We educate all these ambassadors at academies, as you saw in the video, and right now we're 12,500 children. We had 170 academies, but we need to organize 10,000 to become 1 million. This was our first academy in Singapore just 2 days ago, and we will have one on Friday again. These are some things we learn at these academies. We learn about the faces of the world. This is the world by land mass. The bigger a country is by land area, the bigger it's on this map. This is the world by cars. The more cars that drive in the country, the bigger this country is on this map. The US and Europe are huge. This is the world by motorcycles. You'll find many more of these maps on worldmapper.org. This is the world by people that live with less than $1 a day. And this is the world by royalties and license fees. This is the world by population. And by CO2 emissions. The US and Europe together, we're about 10% of the world's population, but have 60% of the world's CO2 emissions. Now, I want to show you some of our activities. For example, our campaign, Stop Talking, Start Planting. We made a picture with Prince Felipe from Spain, and after we made that picture, 1 day later, it was in all newspapers in Spain, and not just in the newspapers, on the cover pages. It's right there on the side. Some children from Mexico also made something we call the e-card. If you go on our website and click e-card, you'll get this window. Then you can upload a picture, for example, the President of Mexico. If the picture doesn't fit, just upload another one. If it still doesn't fit, you can use the arrow keys and then send it to your friends. We also sent our 3-point plan to the heads of governments of the world, asking them how they are planning to save our future. We sent the letter through the embassies in Berlin to ensure that the letter will really reach the countries and to save the money for the transportation, but mainly to ensure that the governments will get the letter. And we expected at least half of the countries to answer. But we only got 11 results. So after that, we decided that we will form the first global political party. So a political party in each country of the world that works together. When we are 18, so in a few years. We also went to the many parliaments, asking them to make laws that every citizen should plant 150 trees. In total, that would be 1 trillion trees. For example, in the Congress of Mexico, or in the European Parliament. We also went to many UN conferences, but I wasn't the only one. Many other children did the same. For example, Maiken Hamaluba, she's from Botswana, or Ugratna, she's from India. Ugratna spoke at the General Assembly about 2 years ago. On our Africa trip we made in the summer holidays, we also went on Mount Kilimanjaro. We walked to the top and put a flag there. And each January, in a few countries, we go around the streets, and on the trees, on the cut down Christmas trees, which are in the roads. We put little speech bubbles. If I had arms, I would plant trees and lots of other word games. But these are in German, sorry. We children also made many demonstrations. For example, during the Copenhagen conference, in front of the Chancellery in Germany. This was a demonstration in Munich with other organizations of children all over the world. We made demonstrations in the same day in many cities. One picture of our demonstrations also came into a German school book. All 10th graders that learn about giving presentations will see our project. And we started the project Future Fee, that all companies that want to support us can do that by giving us 0.01% of their turnaround every year. The first time we tried it didn't work, but meanwhile, there are over 30 companies already participating in the Future Fee. And in about 2 weeks in Germany, we will have our first product in the stores. It's the Change chocolate. We're starting this project in Germany, and in about 2 weeks, there will be 7,000 stores with the Change chocolate. And hopefully, it will also come into many other countries soon. And we're launching this chocolate through Facebook, through the social media. You probably all know what a flash mob is, just people meeting in one place, everyone's doing the same just for fun. Then there's something called the carrot mob, where just a group of people goes into a store and buy carrots together. And so we started the choco mob, the chocolate mob, that a group of people comes together to buy chocolate. And of course, a big amount of this, of the income goes to Plant for the Planet, to planting trees. Facebook is incredibly important in the Arabian Revolution and also in our children's revolution. Right now, we're also starting offices in many countries of the world. So if you're able to support us with making offices in these countries, that would be great. And after being here in Singapore, at many schools here, I think we'll also start an office here in Singapore. I want to show you our structure. We just made a democratic structure for Plant for the Planet. And each year, we have elections for the global board, and we decided that there are no re-elections possible, that as many children as possible can be part of the global board. We children also wrote a book. It's called Tree by Tree. It's already in 7 different languages. And if you come outside right after the next speaker, you'll get a book and our chocolate. If you give us your business card, then we will send you a newsletter. And if you want to support us through the Future Fee, then put FF on your business card. If you want to support us with an office, just put O on the business card, C for chocolate. If you want to have them in your stores, if you have any stores. Or if just give us your business card, and then we'll send you all the information. So have it ready when you come outside. We're about 15 children there waiting for you. Thank you.